Hi guys, so today marks the start of me going through all of my single eyeshadows. So this is both cream, liquid, jelly, and powder shadows. I'm probably going to break this into 2 videos just based off of what's in my drawer. So today we're going to be focusing on all of my liquid eyeshadows and liquid glitters. And then in my next video, we're going to be focusing in on all of my cream products and then possibly powder as well. That may end up being a 3rd video. So I have these 2 bins sitting in my makeup drawer and they're just full to overflowing. They really are. And I had attempted at one point to put more glitter stuff over here and then more cream eyeshadow over here. And I feel like it's just kind of this hodgepodge of stuff right now. There is also a few stick type products sitting in here just because they fit better in these type containers than they do some of the other ones. But to be honest, I'd love to be able to pull those out and have them somewhere separate versus getting lost with these liquids. So I need to kind of re-look at my drawer system and see if there's a better place where I can put these. For the time being, because these are cream products, I am going to go ahead and pull them out of these containers and set them to the side because I want to evaluate these in stick form alongside the ones that are in potted form. So I'm going to pull out all these stick ones and then I'm going to organize these by color family, and then we will look at these and talk about the different finishes. All right, I think I have these sort of clustered together now by color family. All right, so here we've got sort of taupes and bronzes. Let's just go ahead and start swatching. I'm gonna start down at this end. This is Sydney Grace. This is her old packaging. This is her new packaging, which I much prefer, but I love this color. Oh no. This is one of my favorite colors from her, and I don't know if you can see that there, but it has started to go moldy. It's very, I mean, this is the thing with a lot of these cream shadows you do have to pay attention to. In fact, it makes me a little nervous that, I mean, these are much newer than this shade here, but I won't be able to see this happening in this packaging. This is the shade Vibrant Madness. It is one of my absolute favorite shades, but unfortunately, because that has gone moldy, I'm not even gonna swatch that. I may repurchase this one though, because this is one of my favorite colors. This shade from Sydney Grace is Lap of Luxury, and it's just a really pretty light bronze color. Making a giant swatch there. My bad. This is a NYX Lid Lingerie, and this is in the shade Nightglow. I had this in my Shop My Stash fairly recently, and I did really like this more cool toned, deeper, murky sort of smoky color all over my lid. I thought it was really pretty. It's not as shiny as the one from Sydney Grace, but it makes a beautiful all over lid look. That one is just pearl. There's no glitter in it at all. In contrast, this is a Kokie Crystal Fusion shadow in Starlight. This one, along with the next ones we're going to talk about, has some decent amount of micro shimmer running through it. It's not as big and as sort of bold glitter as the Stila shadows or as some of these other ones we're going to talk about, but it definitely has a micro shimmer running through it that is really pretty. This is from Flower Beauty. This is her Warrior Glitter eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Bullet. This is a gorgeous taupe with a ton of silver glitter running through it. I think it's going to end up being, yeah, this is one that definitely has chunkier glitter pieces running through it. So very similar color to the Kokie one, but much larger glitter pieces running through that one. And that's interesting because I have a second shade from them, and we'll talk about this with my greens. Very different formula. This one acts more like the Kokie one in the sense that it has shimmer in it, but it's not the big glitter particles to it. This is a shade from Wet n Wild. This is the shade Cashmere Love. This one is also a taupe with some silver micro shimmer running through it. In terms of these last 3 colors, I think they're all very similar, but just various degrees of glitter. So that one's very fine glitter, very chunky glitter, and sort of a medium glitter running through it. This is really old, and I feel like I'm gonna probably end up having to pass all of these on just because I feel like it's probably not safe for me to use them anymore. This is the Revlon Photoready Eye Art. It had a liquid shadow on one end, and then what I was using for glitters for the most part on the other end. It's beautiful liquid shadow. And then this was a gold glitter on the other end that I was using for liner or over top of things before those Stila ones really came out. That's what I was reaching for. But I think these are probably getting a little chunky and a little weird. These are two Stila glitter and glows. This is the shade Smoldering Satin. It's a little mini set that I had of, I think it was a trio that came out last year. Yeah, these are just, formula on these really are great. I mean, there's a reason that everyone has loved these as much as they do. I really do feel like it packs quite a wallop in terms of shine, but if you look at that difference between that and the flower one, the glitter particles are about the same, but the dispersion of glitter was so much more even in this one than it was in the flower one down there. And then this is my favorite shade from Stila. This is Diamond Dust, and it's because it's like a clearish base with a sort of silver, but also sort of opalescent color to it. I mean, it just packs such a punch in terms of high shine, foiled. It's got almost a holographic shift to it. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to pick this up, but it has holographic almost glitters in it, and it's such a pretty glitter topper. I'm going to obviously throw this Sydney Grace one away. I'm gonna hang on to this one on this one. I'm gonna pass this flower one on. I'm less impressed with it now that I see it swatched next to other things. I'm gonna pass the liquid Catsuit on, and I'm gonna keep these two. I'm gonna pass on this Revlon one just because I know it's gone off, and I think I'm gonna hang on to that. So that is good for this collection. All right, so these are the sort of greens and blues I have, and then I popped in this bright gold because I wanted to compare it against this one. This is from Essence. This is their Metal Shock Shadow. This is the shade Supernova. It's this really interesting sort of murky gray blue color. I think it's such a pretty color. It's got a thin micro shimmer running through it, nothing too intense. I don't know, I really like the shade. I find it to be, I don't know, really unique inside my collection. Pretty unique out there in makeup as well. These are something that nobody I feel like has talked about. So BH Cosmetics does eye lights. This is the shade Gnarly. It's a teal that has a crap ton of gold in it and actually has a really strong gold shift to it, which makes it not quite as intense as the color in the packaging would lead you to believe. It's not that it's not pigmented, it's just that it's got such a strong gold in it that I actually find this to be a very wearable bright teal blue. So I've had a lot of fun with those shades. This is another shade favorite of mine. So this is that Warrior Glitter Shadow from Flower Beauty. This is the shade Camo. It's this gorgeous olive green, and it also has a micro shimmer in it that is really beautiful. The shade is just stunning. I absolutely love it. And then this was that Revlon Photoready Eye Art. Had a gold glitter on one end that I was using as opposed to buying the, what was it, the Urban Decay Cowboy shade. I can't remember. That's the gold glitter that everyone went nuts over. So it had this really pretty olive green at one end that was just satin, and then it had this really strong gold glitter at the other end, which I do feel like is starting to turn, which is why I don't want to keep these. Yeah, that's getting really goopy looking. Now these are the Pixie by Petra. What do they call these? They're liquid fairy lights. This is the shade Sunray. It actually has almost a yellowy base in it with gold and silver glitter going in it. And I love this formula. I think this formula is probably the closest I've found to the Stila shades in terms of evenly dispersing larger particles of glitter. I think it's absolutely stunning. Pretty easy here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and obviously get rid of this guy from Revlon. And other than that, I think I want to go ahead and keep these four. All right, so these are purples and into sort of berries, and we get down into sort of reddish shades down here as well. So lots of different undertones in here. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of swatching. So this is from Sydney Grace. This is the shade Wish. It's a bright, vibrant purple shade. And because purple eyeshadow can be difficult to do sometimes, I thought it would be fun to have a very strong purple base for those days when I wanted to really have a really strong purple eye. Now this is very violety. It has a lot of blue undertone to it. Don't reach for it a ton though, if I'm being honest. This is a sort of a grungy, purpley shade that has some blue glitter running through it from the Essence Metal Shock line. This is Total Eclipse. That one's looking a little off, like it's not quite applying the way that I remember it applying. This is a NYX Lid Lingerie, and this is a pinky shade, and it's called Whimsy, and I always think that I am not going to like this, and then I will plop it on my eyes, and I love it. So this is very highly pigmented. It's less about glitter and more about a really pretty pearlescent shine, and I actually really enjoy this color. This is a discontinued shade from ColourPop's Supernova Shadows. I've mentioned this before. I didn't really ever get along well with their Supernova formula. I've tried a few of them and I found them to be very thin and watery and kind of difficult to work with. This shade Moonlight was the exception, and that is why I ended up keeping this shade in particular. It was just a really pretty berry shade that had a nice micro shimmer running through it. I do want to compare it to a couple of these Sydney Grace shades that I've got going down here. They may not be similar, but let's just find out. So this is Warm Weather, which is more of your sort of deeper berry rose gold shade, definitely a fall shade. This is Mani Petty. Yeah, this one has more of a purple undertone with a deeper shift to it. It's almost a duochrome type shade. And then finally, this is My Bond. I think was deeper and more of a burgundy shade. Oh, nope, it was this one. This was the other one that I loved. This was My Bond. This actually has a little bit of micro glimmer running through it and has a really interesting blue shift to it, if you can see that there on camera. This is from NYX. This is Glitter Goals in the shade Poppy Fields. I thought this was a really pretty reddish color, and it wasn't a glitter that I really had in any other shade. This is definitely more of, all right, as I was saying before my battery cut out, this is definitely a thinner formula. It does have a micro shimmer in it. It's not quite as big and as impactful as Stila. In fact, let me just show you the difference. This is one of the Stila Glitter and Glows. This is in Tulip Twinkle. Now this is one that actually stains my eyes if I just put it on by itself. I think it's got to have some sort of red base in the bottom of it. You can see those last two there. All right, let's talk here. For as pretty as this purple is, I'm just not reaching for it. So I think I'm gonna pass that on. I also think this one is starting to go off. For as much as I like that color, I feel like it's going off. It was not applying well. Do want to keep this NYX one. I like it a lot. And I do still want to keep this ColourPop one. I still think it's pretty unique in my collection. In terms of the Sydney Grace shadows here, I think I want to keep these two. The one here in the middle, which is Mani Petty, I feel like is very similar to the My Bond, which has that glitter in it. I just prefer this duochromy, slightly shimmery shift that's in that one. But I do like how rose gold and pretty that is. So I do think I want to keep that. So I think I'm going to pass on Mani Petty. And then I also think I'm going to pass on this sort of pinky Stila Tulip Twinkle shade. I'm not reaching for that kind of color a lot. So I think I'm just gonna keep these 5. All right, so now we're getting into sort of peachy, coppery, more warmy bronze shades. A couple different formulas in here. One is from Essence, another Metal Shock. This is in the shade Second to Mars. Unlike a couple of shades that I think had a lot of glitter in them, this always struck me as more of a, like just a peachy shimmer shade. It's really pretty and really impactful though. Like I like this peachy shade. This is definitely going off. I don't know if you can see that glitter down in there. This is another one of those Revlon Eye Arts. This does have a really pretty copper shade at the bottom though that I did enjoy quite a bit. It's sort of that bronzy copper shade, really pigmented. Like the base on this Revlon ones were no joke. Unfortunately, I just think they're a little old. This is Shells and Whistles, which is definitely my favorite of the liquid catsuits. This doesn't have any glitter in it. Some of the liquid catsuits are like the Pearl formula and others have glitter in them. This shade is just, it's super basic, but it lasts really well. It blends really well. It's just a gorgeous all over lid shade that I've really enjoyed. This is a Hard Candy Glitter Radi. This is a really interesting color. It shifts gold to sort of peach. It's just a really interesting color. And I thought it was a really pretty, more shimmery version of what I was getting with Shells and Whistles there. That is it swatched. And then this was a Glitterati eyeshadow duo, so kind of more reminiscent of the Revlon ones. And this had a cream shadow at one end. So not quite as dark as the Revlon ones, but that one was actually pretty nice. And then at the other end was sort of a glitter topper that was the same color, but with silver glitter running in it. Ooh, that seems really watery. Hang on. She got to mix these up if they've been sitting there for a few weeks. Yeah, there we go. The opposite end I wasn't as impressed with. I always felt like the Revlon ones were better. This end is gorgeous. I just don't know if it warrants keeping that duo. And then this is the shade Kitten Karma in the Stila Glitter and Glows. Definitely a beautiful shade. Yeah, see, that does what this should have done. The difference in quality between those two is just, you can't even compare. I'm all about finding drugstore dupes for things, but I really want them to be of the same caliber. I want to keep this one. I'm going to pass on the Revlon. I'm going to keep this liquid catsuit here. And then I'm also going to keep the Glitterati. I'm going to pass on this double-ended Glitterati because I just don't care for the formula quite as much. And then I'm going to keep the Stila Glow at the end. One section left. These are all more of my champagne-y or light pinky colors. So let's go ahead and swatch all of these. That down there. There we go. Kind of organizing those colors. This is a little Korean brand called Touch and Soul that is available at Sephora. This is the shade Talia. So it has a liquid shadow on one end, which has all kind of gone into one side. So I'm going to mix it up here a little bit. And this is a really bright, oh man, that's stained really bad. This is a really bright, beautiful, sort of super highlighty champagne color. And then on the other end is sort of a loose glitter pigment, but it has this little spatula thing which actually makes it kind of easy to apply, this very loose glitter. And it's not even a loose glitter, it's more of a sort of a micro shimmer pigment that you can tap over the top of it. It is really pretty. This is from Wet n Wild, their Gotho Glam line from maybe a year or so ago. This is Pure Intentions, sort of a lighter pink shade. I did have this in my most recent Shop My Stash, and I really felt like it was going off. In fact, I probably should have just decluttered it then. That was a miss. I think I meant to chuck that. This is Cover Effects. This is their Shimmer Veil. This is a liquid eyeshadow. I've seen some people use them as liquid highlighters. To me, this is the shade that I liked the most. I had a different shade that was more of an amethyst shade that I actually ended up decluttering. This is the shade Celestial. It's just a really nice sort of light pink. And then this is a Metal Shock shadow from Essence, and this is Stars and Stories. Definitely, I think, my favorite out of all of the shades. And oh good, it's still working. I was getting a little nervous that I had to declutter one of these, and I wondered if it would still be working by the time I actually got to it. And then finally, this is from Stila. This is the shade Boheme. This is the Shimmer and Glow formula, so not Glitter and Glow, Shimmer and Glow, and it is a really beautiful formula. I do feel like you can replicate these at the drugstore, so I don't necessarily think that the Shimmer and Glow formula is as unique as the Glimmer and Glow, but I really do love that sort of cool toned, it's almost lavendery champagne pink. So it's pretty easy for me to pass on this Wet n Wild one because it's just not working at all anymore. But honestly, I think I'm going to pass this Cover FX one on as well. I don't know, I've not been reaching for it. When I want this sort of bright I've been reaching for either the Touch and Soul or even the Stila one over this. I think I'm going to pass that on to a friend and just hang on to these. All right, so here are the ones that I am decluttering. A couple of additions here. I went ahead and added this Essence eye base in here because I feel like it might be going off because it stained the heck out of my wrist, and I don't remember it doing that before. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here. I feel like I can live without this light peach shade. And then I also went ahead and put this reddish NYX shade. The more I was looking at what I was keeping, I just didn't feel like it warranted keeping this. I feel like if I want a glitter eye, I can easily pop over, take a red eyeshadow in my collection and then just pop over some gold glitter and kind of get the effect that I get with this. So that is what I'm getting rid of. Let me show you what I'm keeping. So here are the two containers that I am keeping. I can clearly see everything. Nothing is stacked on top of each other anymore. I really do love all of the colors. And so this is kind of what it looked like before in my drawer. As you can see, just massive piles, hard to see anything. And here's what it looks like after. I feel like it's a lot easier to see kind of what's in there, and I'll be able to much easily hone in on the type of shadow that I'm pulling for in this drawer. So that is it for today's declutter. Like I said, we're going to turn our sights to cream eyeshadows next, and then we will turn our sights to, actually we're going to do cream and sort of jelly textures next, and then we will turn our sights to my powder shadow singles. So I hope you guys are having an amazing week. Talk to you soon. Bye.